Hello, traders and automation enthusiasts. How are you all doing today? This is Dylan, your host with Killer Whale Ventures, and today we are going to be going through automation, automated risk management, and a whole bunch of other stuff, including some news and events. And also, we are going to be talking about all of the amazing promos we're running until the end of the year. And yeah, so if you're interested in automation or automated risk management, this is your home to begin your journey into a more level-headed and mathematical approach to the market. So yeah, let's just go ahead and get started here. And if you have any asset requests, we'll be doing asset requests at the end of the stream. If there's anybody that would like to see a specific asset, or maybe have myself break down one of our algorithms in real time, we can absolutely do that. Looking forward to any and all comments and questions. This video is sponsored by us, so in the description below, you'll find all of the links to our KWIP platform, our Discord channel, and currently, in order to get this stream off the ground, this is going to be a 100% community-driven stream, so all of your questions and comments and, different types of assets that you want to analyze, all that kind of stuff, just let us know. And while we're getting this stream off the ground, we're giving all of our trading view indicators, yes, all of our trading view indicators and strategies, they're invite only. So go ahead and, message us in our Discord support channel and just tell us which algorithm, or, you could say one or all of them that you want access to, and we'll go ahead and get you access to those right away. So yeah, just go ahead, and if you're interested in any of our TradingView strategies, they're all in the description below. And just go ahead and send us a message on our Discord support or our killerwhaleventures.com support with your TradingView username, and we'll go ahead and make sure you get all of that. So yeah, let's go ahead and talk about how we start this stream. We talk about Bitcoin, Ethereum, Solana, XRP, a few other cryptocurrencies right off the bat. Then we go into the Mag 7, and by the time I'm about done talking about those things, we are going to try and finish the stream with a live trade happening right here on the stream. So yeah, if you want discounts to the different prop firms we use, Tradeify and Apex, we have our links down below. So go ahead and check that out. But yes, please give us a like and subscribe, and we'll go ahead and get right into it here. We're going to be doing these live sessions starting at 6 p.m. Sunday through Friday. So that's 6 days a week. We're going to do these market reviews, and again, completely community driven. So we'd like to, we'd like to have you all participate, and I'll be reading through and answering any comments in the chat as we go forward here. Okay, so let's go ahead and look at Bitcoin. Bitcoin had a positive day today, about flat, actually. We're still firmly within our bullish control zone, which you can see is this green cloud here. So this is one of our, top used algorithms that connects directly to CryptoHopper. CryptoHopper is the world's largest bot trading platform in the crypto space. For spot trading. Connects to all different exchanges, all the major exchanges, Binance, Coinbase, Kraken, KuCoin, and many, many more. So this, you can send signals through their API to your exchange, or you can use another service like Traders Post or Signal Stack. There's a bunch of ways that you can automate these signals. But, just to dive into it here, what this green cloud means is this is our bullish control zone. So you can see a few days ago, we bounced off of basically the line in the sand for the bullish control zone. So we had a nice bounce there. However, the moving averages are currently pointing to the downside. So we're going to have a little bit of a mixed bag here because our moving averages are pointing down, yet we are still firmly within this bullish control zone here. I like to talk about this algorithm because this is our long-term Bitcoin accumulation algorithm. And you can see here it's had 100% successful trades in its lifetime. And what do I mean by 100% successful trades? Well, you can see it doesn't send very many sell signals. And the last sell signal that it actually sent was all the way back here in March of 2021. So you can see this algorithm is specifically designed for long-term accumulation and, you know, very rare sell signals. The sell signals come from an ATR-based take profit system, which is in this algorithm and indicator. Yeah, let's go ahead and switch over to some of the, you know, technical analysis side of things. I'll just go ahead and turn the algorithm off for now, and we'll just go ahead and look at the Bitcoin on a technical basis. Yesterday during the stream, I had drawn in this kind of bear flag looking ascending triangle. So ascending patterns are typically bearish patterns, descending patterns like we saw here and here are typically bullish, right? And, you know, since we're getting this channel off the ground, we didn't get a whole lot of traction on the video yesterday, so I would just like to reiterate kind of what we had talked about yesterday. Yesterday, the news was all about how Bitcoin has more Bitcoin sitting off of exchanges than is typical. So right now, there isn't a lot of Bitcoin sitting on the exchanges in order for, you know, these big players to sell. A lot of it has come off exchanges, and that can lead us to believe that maybe the volatility might be on a downswing here, because when there's more Bitcoin on the exchanges for whales and institutions and traders to sell, that can lead to you know, extended periods of bearish price action. So I like to go over, you know, the year so far of what we've experienced in Bitcoin. And as you can see, at the end of last year, we had this long descending broadening formation that had been forming most of the year 2024. We had this breakout of the descending broadening formation, which brought us all the way up to new all-time highs. And then there was a double top, which resulted in some bearish price action. So we actually went from, you know, our breakout pretty quickly to our second target, and then didn't quite make it to our third target here until forming another descending broadening formation and then another breakout. So we actually had two separate trades going on at the same time here. We had the remainder of the first trade getting up to profit target number 3, and then we had a second trade with 3 of its own profit targets. So this year, you know, we've basically been completely flat on Bitcoin. As you can see in our year-to-date performance, Bitcoin has done 0.95%. So it's just about exactly where it was last year, just about where it was when we had started this year. So if I go back to January 1st, you can see right here, January 1st. So we're at just about the same level we were at the beginning of the year. Moving forward, we had another descending broadening formation kind of starting to play out, and we did participate in this initial breakout move here, which hit our first target, resulting in, you know, the most recent all-time high, but really it kind of formed what would be maybe a triple top, heavy resistance at this all-time high level. And then we had that really, really crazy day where Bitcoin dropped by, 20%, about 18% in an 8-hour period. So what happened here is, you know, although we participated in this first target, we came back down and ended up getting stopped out. So we took 50% of our trade. That's one big rule of thumb for these analysis type of plays is, you know, we always take about 50% of our trade off the table, at least 50% at target number 1. So, you know, with a risk to reward ratio of 1.27, this was about break even. So that's the last major, analysis type of play that we've made on Bitcoin in the past few months here. And we did break structure. So this descending broadening formation is a bit invalid at the moment. And currently what we're looking at is this bear pole bear flag going on here. The bear pole bear flag does have targets all the way down to like 87.5 and 84.1 and 80,000 again. So we're going to keep a close eye on this to see if we do have a continuation to the downside. Although that leads me into some news that I want to talk about, because Cathie Wood says Bitcoin's 4-year cycle is breaking as institutions steady the market. So we're going to read through this article just to get a good idea of where other prominent investors' minds are at in terms of what they think about Bitcoin. So ARK Invest CEO Cathie Wood says Bitcoin's well-known 4-year cycle may no longer define the asset's long-term behavior, arguing that institutional adoption is reshaping everything from volatility to how deep future drawdowns might be. Speaking with Fox Business on Tuesday, Wood Bitcoin's sharp crashes, often 70 to 90% in earlier years, are becoming less common as financial players accumulate the asset. Volatility is going down, she said, adding that institutions are going to prevent much more of a decline. Wood suggests that we may have seen the low a couple weeks ago. So, right around this area at 80,000, we might have seen the low, according to Cathie Wood. Her view challenges more than a decade of market expectations. Bitcoin's cycle has traditionally followed its halving effects, block reward reductions that occur roughly every 4 years. Once a reliable pattern, the 4-year Bitcoin cycle may no longer hold. What's changed and why it matters? Now more than ever. The most recent halving on April 20th, 2024, cut the mining reward to 3.12 Bitcoin, historically a trigger for supply squeezes and strong rallies. However, Wood argues that the market behavior has shifted, as Bitcoin trades more like a risk-on asset, moving in line with equities and real estate rather than acting as a hedge. Now gold is more of a risk-off asset, she said, noting that investors use it to protect against geopolitical shocks. ARK has continued adding crypto exposure recently, buying more shares of Coinbase, Circle, and its own ARK 21 shares Bitcoin ETF, ARKB. Wood's comments land in the middle of a wider industry debate. Analysts across major institutions say Bitcoin no longer responds to halving cycles the way it once did. Earlier this week, Standard Chartered said ETF buying has reduced the halving's influence as a price driver. Okay, all that being said, it seems like some of the big players in the space, Cathie Wood, very well-respected analyst and CEO of ARK Invest, saying that these cycles may not be as typical as they were in the past, right? So speaking on that, we can actually check out the seasonals here and just kind of look at, as we edge towards the end of the year, where Bitcoin has been, this year in its performance in comparison to previous years. So we can see here in 2020, Bitcoin had a 303% gain. 2021, a 56.98% gain. 2022, a 65% loss. 2023, a 154% gain. And 2024, 100% gain. So if we look at that in comparison to what Bitcoin's done this year, currently Bitcoin is at a 1.78% deficit on the year. So it definitely falls out of line with the previous 5 years minus the 2022 bear market that was, in the stocks and crypto and everything. The whole world had a bear market in 2022. So overall, Bitcoin has been on a steady 100+% increase for the last 5 years. If we go back in time a little bit further, let's go to like 2015. So you can see, 2015, a 37% gain, 2016, 124% gain, 2017, a 1,300% gain, 72% deficit in 2018, 87% gain in 2019. So, hand over fist, Bitcoin has been having an increase of roughly around 100+% per year on average. And this year has been a bit of an outlier because we really haven't seen that so far this year. Let's go ahead and look at the technicals here. So on the 1 day, we have neutral across the board, our oscillators and our moving averages signaling neutral, while the summary of both, the sentiment is, signaling in neutral as well. On the 1 week, we're seeing the oscillators neutral, while the moving averages are a strong sell. That's because they're pointing to the downside. And then, a sell on our sentiment here as well. So on the 1 month, oscillators still neutral and moving averages in the buying range, and we're seeing a strong, normal to strong buying opportunity here on the 1 month for the technicals. Okay, let's go ahead and add the algorithm back to this, and then we can talk about the most recent signals received. Again, all of this is available in the description below. We're giving away our TradingView algorithms to get this channel off of the ground. So in the description, you'll find a whole bunch of our TradingView strategies. All you have to do is go to our Discord support and tell us which of the indicators and strategies that you would like to have access to and your TradingView username, and we'll make sure that you get access to all the ones that you'd like. Go ahead and drop a comment in there if you see anything that you really want to see here. We're going to be doing a session at the end of this stream. So yeah, any indicators or anything like that you want to go through, we're going to be taking requests for indicator reviews, and yeah, we would love to have you participate. So go ahead and just send us a request in our Discord support or on killerwhaleventures.com, and we'll make sure that you get access to those. All you got to do is drop us your TradingView username. So let's move on from Bitcoin. Let's go ahead and go to Ethereum. So what we were talking about yesterday on Ethereum is this little breakout that we're having from the descending channel. So you can see we've been in this descending channel since about October 6th or so is when the descending channel started. So we've been in this descending channel for a little over a month now, but we finally had a jump across the creek and retest, and we were able to measure our targets from the jump across the creek and retest, and we're participating in this trade that's currently at target number 1. So if you'd like to gain access to, this kind of stuff, just go ahead and watch the stream. We're going to be talking about, all the major cryptocurrencies and all of the Mag 7 live on stream. So, we can participate in moves like this together potentially. Not financial advice, just how we like to do things, and, patterns that we see in the market and how we kind of go about playing these type of moves. What we were talking about yesterday is there is a broader, widening, there is a large broadening formation that's going on right now on Ethereum. So it's pretty big, right? And we're kind of playing a move that's within that. I could see this move right now being the catalyst that takes us back up to these, 4,000 and 4,500 levels, where we will find some resistance. But, we did see a slight decline after all-time high. We made two, about the same level of resistance and then rejections. So, after this month of being in bearish territory, it looks like we might be getting a little breath in the Ethereum market here. And, just to go over where Ethereum's been this year particularly, it's been quite the roller coaster, right? We saw a big downward descending broadening formation from the beginning of the year, end of the year 2024, beginning of the year 2025, all the way to about April 2025, where we did measure this descending broadening formation and tried to play this breakout move, right? So this breakout move went very quickly to targets number 1 and 2, and then took some time to get up to targets 3 and 4, taking until about August this year, and then eventually breaking through target number 4 and going to new all-time highs. New all-time highs were relatively short-lived, from August to September, October, right? End of September, October. And then since October, we've kind of been in this downward channel, descending channel, and then just recently going into a fresh bullish breakout. So very good. Let's go ahead and move on to XRP. And XRP, again, is one of our algorithms that's been 100% successful. The reason that it's been 100% successful is because it doesn't really sell that often. Last time it sold was on December 2nd, it looks like. So, we had been in an accumulation phase. I don't know how many of you were around for the years and years it felt like of XRP being stuck around 50 cents. And then with their, court case with the SEC coming to somewhat of a close, we saw a huge run up, which basically took XRP from 50 cents all the way up to almost $3. And our algorithm sold around $2.71. So that was a really nice run, really nice push there. And then we've just been slowly and quietly accumulating ever since. So we did participate in a move earlier this year. So I'll just go ahead and we'll just look at the technicals here. So we did participate in this descending triangle breakout, right? That went very quickly to target number 1 and then took some time for it to reach target number 2. We could have absolutely, if the market stayed bullish, we could have definitely hit our top target of around $4.55. But as we saw, the market started to take a turn to the downside. So we have been participating in mostly just accumulation in this area. We tried to participate in, a few different moves. There was a really nice XABCD pattern that formed here that didn't really play out, right? So that's more bearish confirmation. And then let's go ahead and get rid of those. Yeah, so we've been in this descending broadening formation for quite some time now. And again, on Friday, October 10th, we saw that big landslide move that happened market-wide, which actually did come back down and touched our break-even stop loss. So we rode it up to target number 1 and 2, moved our stop loss to break even, and then that came and got touched. So this whole trade never quite made it to target number 3. Again, if you're taking most of your trade off the table, like around 50% plus at target number 1, then, these type of moves are just bonuses, right? So, take 50% off of your trade here, 25% off your trade here, 25% off here. We only had about 25% of our trade sitting on the table through that move that took us out right back at break even there. Since then, we've been in a descending channel. So it does look like we could see maybe some sort of inverse head and shoulders pattern here. Looking for this descending channel to break at some point, right? Which will take us back to, the trend line for our descending broadening formation. So, if we're looking for a potential area, we might size this up. Yesterday on stream, I drew these, circles right here, and those are indicative of where, a potential breakout could occur. So usually I like to put a small circle where I think maybe the breakout of the, whatever structure it is might occur. and then a little bit larger just to give it some wiggle room where the retest could happen, right? So we might be looking for something like this. This is completely speculative at the moment, but something along these lines could be a area that we might measure for another trade opportunity. So if we do start to see some sort of breaking out of this channel, we'll definitely be participating in this. And again, since we're going to be streaming Sunday through Friday, we should be talking about this live while we're doing this with everybody. So moving forward, let's go ahead and talk about the accumulation algorithm just a little bit. This one is using UTBot 2.2. Again, that's available for you to get free access to if you go to the description below and then send us a message in our support chat and Discord. So yeah, happy to have every single one of you. I'm looking to turn this into the largest algorithmic trading community on the internet. It's going to be completely community driven. So we're going to be doing chart requests. We're going to be doing indicator and strategy requests and different indicator optimizations here live as we're on the stream together. So yeah, don't be a stranger. We're happy to have you. So let's talk about some of XRP's performance. The largest assets in the space, the ones with the highest market cap, all have been performing about the same if you look at it on a year to date or within the last year kind of outlook on it, right? So within this year, XRP is down 1.47%. So it's basically been flat this entire year, although we have had a lot of swings and volatility. As far as making a gain year to date, that has not been the case, right? So if you were able to participate in some of these type of moves, or if you have been accumulating for a very long time like some of us have, then this chart looks amazing. But if you have just been participating within this last year, you have had a lot more opportunities to buy higher than we are now. So some people are looking at kind of holding a bag right now because the areas within the last year have been mostly accumulating above where we are currently at. Let's go ahead and look at the seasonals here. So, you can just see 2023 we had a minus 30%, and 2024 we had positive 230%, and this year, we've seen little to no gain at all. So, very mixed bag here on XRP. Let's go ahead and go to some technicals. On the 1 day, oscillators signaling neutral, moving averages signaling a strong sell, and our sentiment and summary signaling a strong sell. On the 1 week, not much better. We're still getting a sell from the moving averages, neutral from the oscillators, and our summaries giving us a sell signal as well. Now, on the monthly, the oscillators are giving us a buy signal, moving averages giving us a buy signal, and our summary is also giving us a buy signal. So long-term outlook bullish, and good area to accumulate or begin using an algorithm like this, because we are at a lower point in the market currently. So if you're going to manage your risk, which is what we're all about here, this is a decent area to start looking at managing your risk. And one way to manage risk is simply to participate using mathematics, right? So we love to use mathematics, and that's how we participate in the market and manage our risk. So, our algorithms are completely customizable with everything from, entry strategy, additional entry, exit strategy, take profit strategy, trailing stop loss strategy, and stop loss strategy, right? So you got just about everything you need to, interpret the market from a standpoint of getting in and how you're going to exit, right? Getting in is one thing, but having an exit plan, that's another. And if you can automate your exit plan, that's what we're looking to do with our people here in the Killer Whale Ventures community. All right, moving right along. So going into Solana. Solana is currently in a bearish control cloud. We're looking at the 12-hour chart on Solana. Just to look at what we've done this year, we discussed this a bit yesterday, but at the end of last year, we formed this really, really sharp descending wedge pattern, right? And we played this breakout of the descending wedge. So, it was a very interesting type of trade because we did enter on the breakout, right? And we also entered a little bit more heavy on the retest. So breakout, retest, and then we hit both of our targets very, very quickly within just a matter a few days on that one. Ever since then, we, most of the year this year, we saw a long descending channel happening here. Actually, let me just scooch this back a little. Okay, perfect. So we had a descending channel, right, that we were accumulating through, from basically January all the way to March. So, January to March was a 3-month long descending channel. And then we started to break out of that descending channel. And this is one of the most epic, trade planning predictions that we've ever made because it hit our third target exactly on the day that we had predicted. So that was really, really interesting. Just a good way to look at how analyzing a breakout and how analyzing these type of patterns can really lead to being able to manage your risk and just being able to overall participate in a way that's a little bit more cool, calm, and collected versus just kind of a buy and hold or buy and pray kind of strategy, right? So now we've been in this descending channel as we're coming up to where we are now. We've been in another descending channel for about, let's see, from September 20th until now where we're at. So, about 2 or 3 months of a downward channel that we've been in here. And yesterday on the stream, basically we were just analyzing that what happens when we move outside of a descending channel. A descending channel is a bullish pattern, right? So we are going to be participating with a bullish trade entry, right? Spot trading, don't do a whole lot of shorting, right? We're more looking for using our accumulation algorithms or looking for some sort of low risk area to enter into a potential trade, right? So right now we're looking at this descending channel and our zone of confluence here, which we've been kind of using as our support level for the last couple of weeks here. And what do I mean by zone of confluence? If you look on the chart here, zone of confluence is this purple box, and it simply just means the most times that we've interacted with the price action in this instance. So you can see we've interacted with the price action the most times, mainly acting as support, once acting as resistance, maybe down here acting as resistance a little bit. But this is a good area where we've kind of identified that there is some strong support here, which would lead us to believe that we might have a breakout of this structure sometime in the near future, right? And I've placed our breakout zone somewhere in this area, right? And maybe our retest zone somewhere around here, and then targets all the way up to 236.91. So as this develops more, we're going to keep an eye on it. Year to date, Solana has not done very well. It's done minus 27%. So it's kind of straggling behind some of the other larger cryptocurrencies in the space. And, we'll look at the seasonals here just to kind of compare where we have been in the past and kind of where we are right now. So 2021 saw a 368% increase. 2022 saw a minus 94% decrease. 2023 saw a 918% increase, and 2024 saw a 71% increase. Now, if we look at that compared to where we are right now, with 2025 so far year to date, we're almost at the end of the year, having a minus 29% decrease. Solana's been kind of a mixed bag, but overall been performing at roughly 50 to 75% in the positive per year on average so far, at least since 2021. Let's go over to some technicals here. Oscillators, neutral. Moving averages, sell. So, kind of more in bearish control on the 1 day. Weekly, oscillators, neutral. Moving averages, strong sell. Again, in bearish control with our summary being sell overall. And then on the month, oscillators, neutral. Moving averages, strong sell. So we're looking at a pretty bearish outlook as far as the technicals go on Solana at the moment. Let's go ahead and move on to my favorite altcoin. That's not, one of the top, Bitcoin, Ethereum, Solana, XRP. Anything besides those, I'm, gonna label as more of an altcoin than like a market, one of the larger market participants. But it is within the top 10 now, I believe. I could just double check that on Coin Market Cap here. Let's see. Yep. So if we go to Coin Market Cap, Tron is currently number 8. So this is within the top 10 on our KWIP platform. You will get signals for TRX, right? Our conservative AI participates in the top 10 coins by market cap. Moderate AI participates in the top 20 coins by market cap. And aggressive AI participates in the top 30 coins by market cap. So, Tron will fall within the top 10. Our conservative AI is purely accumulation based. So this is one of my favorite coins to accumulate, because if we look back in time, this coin has done really, really well. This year has been, since our downturn at the end of the year here, is still up 10% on the year in comparison to Solana, which is down 30%. XRP hasn't moved at all. Ethereum hasn't moved at all. Bitcoin hasn't moved at all. So TRX, in my opinion, has done really, really well. And you can see in our TradingView script here, we're using strategy UTBot 2.2, again, available in the description. Go ahead and request access to any of these. They're completely free right now. That's how we're going to get this channel off the ground and start building our community in the algorithmic space. So we already have a large community. You can come talk with traders in our Discord channel. We're talking all day long about strategies, configurations, futures, options, stocks, you name it. It's a good place to come hang out and a good place to get started in the automation space. So again, you can see our TRX algorithm has never had a single losing trade, 100% profitable. The reason for that, again, is it doesn't send very many sell signals. The sell signals that it does send are very, very specific. All of these blue triangles that you see are entries or accumulation, and all of these purple triangles that you see are sell signals, right? So our last sell signals being at the end of last year, December 2024, where we had that huge run up on a lot of different assets. That was the majority of when the last selling occurred for our accumulation algorithms. But as you can see here, another thing I absolutely love about TRX in this particular algorithm is its entire history. It has never once gone into the bearish control zone, right? So if you see this green cloud that we've been in it since the data started on TRX. So we have only ever participated in a bullish control zone here. So very, very cool. Again, happy to get you all the configurations for this. We have a community algorithm configuration document that people contribute to. And yeah, we'd love to have you. So let's go ahead and talk a little bit about what we had drawn on the chart yesterday. So yesterday I was going through live on the channel and just kind of analyzing where we are. Currently in a descending channel, as we are on many of the other cryptocurrencies at the moment. There's a very large descending channel starting in August and going all the way until present day. So what we're looking for here is obviously the next step is going to be to break this heart line, right? Which it looks like we may have broken the heart line here and kind of came back to retest it as support. So what we want to see is we want to see TRX kind of float upwards to our, in estimated breakout zone, right? So if we could see some bullish action push us up this way, and then maybe we form kind of like an inverse head and shoulders pattern, something like that. And then we can kind of size up, is this really an area where we think we could see a breakout, right? So I've measured a few different targets here in, anticipation that we might kind of float up here and then potentially break out with a little bit of a retest, right? But we won't have the conviction that we need to actually enter a trade or size up a trade like this until we see some further action and a breakout of this descending channel top line here. So at the moment, just steady accumulation going on, right? Again, this algorithm has never sent a losing signal, so we just continue to accumulate until we might see another big push in the crypto space in which we'll see some sell signals, but that's going to require some change of heart, change of direction from the overall crypto space. So let's go ahead and look here on the seasonals. So going back to 2020, 2020 saw a 100% increase. 2021 saw a 189% increase. 2022 minus 28%. 2023 93% increase. 2024 135% increase. And year to date 2025, we've really only seen about a 10% increase on TRX. So atypical of its, normal 100+% increase on average, right? Even considering this 2022 minus 30%, minus 28%, overall about 100% increase per year on TRX on average. So that's, again, one of my favorite to accumulate and hold, and it's one of my largest holdings now because it just continues to go up and to the right, and it's performed very, very well over the years. Okay, now my absolute favorite cryptocurrency, gold. So if you're unfamiliar, you can accumulate gold in most cryptocurrency exchanges under the ticker symbol PAXG. PAXG is pegged to the price of gold, and it's a easy way to participate in gold at the exact spot price like you would trading paper gold on any other brokerage or trading metals. So our long-term PAXG algorithm, right? PAXG has done absolutely spectacular things because it follows the price of gold, and since 2024, gold has increased from about $2,000 an ounce all the way to where we are today at $4,200 an ounce. So over 100% gain in over 100% gain in the last 2 years on gold. And we've been participating on, in the gold space through using PAXG in our cryptocurrency exchanges. Another thing I like to do is by accumulating PAXG, anytime you need to free up capital, you've been accumulating gold and you've been beating inflation for, the last, as long as this currency has existed, right? So a good way to accumulate. Again, this has very seldom sell signals. So overall, it's performed at a 96% profitable rate. One of our big things here at Killer Whale is choosing the assets that you participate in. And we choose assets based upon market cap and a whole bunch of other factors, right? But we really believe some of the larger market cap coins are the most prominent in the space. and have done well in the past and should continue to do well, right? That's why our KWIP platform trades the top 10 coins by market cap for conservative, top 20 coins by market cap for moderate, and top 30 coins by market cap for aggressive. So if we look at a little bit of the analysis going on at the moment, seems like we're in this symmetrical triangle kind of pattern. It doesn't really have a descending structure. It doesn't really have an ascending structure. So it's kind of like a bull flag with a symmetrical triangle. And yesterday on stream, I drew these potential breakout zone, potential retest zone, and some potential targets. Again, we're not going to really give this too much credence to play this as a breakout trade until we see a little bit more conviction. So what we're looking for here is a strong, solid break of our descending trend line in the symmetrical triangle pattern, and then a retest to come back and give us confirmation that we've flipped to support, and then we might think about participating in this this potential move here. So stay tuned, because this is going to be happening live on the channel. We're going to be live 6 days a week, like I said. And yeah, Sunday through Friday at 6 p.m. we go live. Okay, let's go ahead and move on from the crypto space, and let's go ahead and go into some of our algos in the Mag 7. Again, any requests that you have, go ahead and drop your requests either in the comments on YouTube or in our Discord channel. And yeah, we'd be happy to review indicators on TradingView. We'd be happy to review strategies on TradingView. We'd be happy to review configurations. We have a whole community document with like 100 different types of configurations that you can utilize our strategies for, right? Everything from what you're looking at here: Google, Microsoft, Nvidia, Tesla, Meta, Amazon, Bitcoin, Ethereum, XRP, right? So we have all of those in a community document, and we would love to get you to plug some of this stuff in and, play around with it, give us some feedback, and how we can improve things. But, let's go ahead and take a look at Google. Google had, a pretty nice day today, right? We had a pretty solid increase today. Google going from, let's see, today, price range, so let's go ahead and start right about here. Yep, so Google saw about a 1.3% increase on the day. It says about 1% overall, but yeah, so about 1% increase on the day. That's good. Currently, we're not in like a trade on this. Of course, in our long portfolio, we're holding Google, and some of our other stock calls, right? We hold Google. So just as far as a trade capacity goes, we're not actually in a trade right now, because our last trade that went from November 10th, we entered in November 10th and November 12th, November 14th, and November 17th. So those were our entries, and then our exits up here on November 25th and on the November 25th. So that was our last significant trade there. And as you can see, how the algorithm enters is we basically, anytime there's a bullish control zone flip, we go into a long position with additional entries, right? So sometimes there's multiple entries, sometimes there's a single entry, and sometimes there's a lot of entries. So we talked about yesterday, these trades can go on for a long time, right? These, started all the way back in January, accumulating Google on every one of these blue triangles that you see, right? So this is a accumulation and rebalance, I would say, more so, right? Type of algorithm, right? At sometimes, and then sometimes it's just goes, straight for the trade. But you can see 92% profitable on this algorithm, and that is simply because we believe in Google as a company, and we're willing to hold through periods of time where, you know, there might be some accumulation type things going on, right? So again, this is a really good algorithm that you can help you to make decisions with, right? Manage your risk and things like that. Let's go ahead and go on to Tesla. Tesla, let's go ahead and disable the algorithm for right now, and let's just look at Tesla's price action. So this year, Tesla has been an absolute insane roller coaster. It's the cryptocurrency of the Mag 7, if you will. That's what one of my partners says, and I always laugh. So, you know, at the beginning of the year, really the end of last year, we hit a previous all-time high of about 489 on Tesla, right? And then dropped all the way back down to $216. So, you know, a 50% decrease in Tesla's price. And we had a double bottom, which kind of formed this weird looking, you know, descending triangle sort of thing, right? Not really, but that's where we measured our trend line. And then we started to have a breakout of this trend line, right? And we've been participating in this move that we're looking at here. Currently, it looks like we're going to be forming somewhat of a descending broadening formation. You're going to hear me say that a lot on this channel. So, you know, descending broadening formation, looking for another potential breakout. Whether we'll participate in this one like we did here and measure our targets out, we'll still have to see. I kind of am in the camp that we might get another rejection here, bring us back down into this area before we have a breakout. But, you know, if we do get a solid move above, if we do get a solid move above our trend line here, you know, we could estimate potential breakout zone and potential retest zone somewhere, something like that, right? And we could even measure our targets out, you know, something like, so we'll bring that to the most recent swing low, and then this will make the size of the structure, so target number, oh, I'm sorry, size of the structure beginning, target number 1. Okay, so if we were going to look at maybe another bullish breakout going on Tesla, it might look a little something like this, where we have measure the size of the structure at breakout, which would be about roughly around here. So target number 2. And then target number 3, the size of the size of the pole. We're not going to go all the way to the bottom. We're going to keep it a little on the conservative side for target number 3. But yeah, absolute monster. And Kathy Woods, again, we were talking about her at the beginning of this stream. She thinks Tesla's going to be going absolutely insane, doing something like a 10x over the next, you know, 10 years or something along those lines, right? We'll have to pull up some articles about her and talk about it in our Discord channel, but absolutely incredible, absolutely insane if Tesla wants to do something like that, right? That could bring us all the way up to 600 on Tesla. So don't sleep on this one. Again, I think we'll probably get rejected back down over here and then come to make a bit larger of a structure before doing anything. You know, we could even see like an inverted head and shoulders pattern where we do something like this, come down into the middle here, and then break out to the upside. But we'll just go ahead and leave these on here for now. Doesn't hurt to dream, right? So we'll just go ahead and leave those right there for the time being. And I'm just looking over at our futures trading algorithm. Typically, it's going to send a signal anywhere from like 7 p.m. to like 8:30. So we'll see if we can catch a trade again on this stream. Yesterday, we had been analyzing the algorithm that we're using for that. And yeah, we'll go ahead and get into that here in a little bit. And just going to turn the algo back on here. And we can turn this on, right? So you can see our moving averages, the 10 and the 20 on the daily just crossed bullish. They just crossed bullish again. So, you know, we could definitely see potentially a break of this line here. Descending broadening formation typically has to have 1, 2, 3 touches on the top and 1, 2 touches on the bottom to be considered valid. So it is valid at the moment. We're just kind of waiting to see how it's going to play out. And again, we've already hit target 1 and 2 from this breakout. So we're just chilling in target number 3. So oftentimes what's been happening a lot lately is we'll be in the remainder of target number 3 going into another trade, right? So that happened on Bitcoin over the last year, and we're seeing a potential for that to happen here on Tesla as well. Let's go ahead and look at Meta. Meta has been very, very interesting. Let's go ahead and turn that off. What do we have here? Is it a descending broadening formation? Sure looks like it to me. Again, this is one of my favorite patterns. It's a bullish pattern. It symbolizes that, you know, we are moving out of a tight range, right? Where the volatility is kind of increasing as the structure develops. And then that typically leads to a bullish breakout at some point, right? And again, we're looking for 1, 2, 3 touches on the top and at least 1, 2 touches on the bottom. So this structure is valid at the moment. And we're just kind of waiting to see what happens here, right? Earlier this year, you know, as the market had its big downturn, there was a descending channel, which we had a nice breakout here that hit all 3 of its targets and exceeded them. And then since then, we've kind of been, you know, pulling back on Meta again in this area. And nothing to, you know, analyze going into a particular trade setup as far as technical analysis goes. But if we look at the algorithm, you know, we can see that this algorithm has been doing pretty well. 67% profitable, but overall the profit curve on the algorithm looks really nice. And this one's more of a shorter term scalp kind of configuration. So we did see an entry on Meta yesterday. So we had an entry on Meta on the 8th, an entry on Meta on the 9th, right? And now we're below that. So we're going to be looking for continuous entries as the trend develops to the downside, right? We can look at some of the, you know, performance year to date. Meta's had a 10% gain, right? So if we look at that seasonally, you know, 2020 saw a 33% gain, 2021 a 27% gain, 2022 minus 64%, 2023 183% gain, 2024 a 70% gain, and then this year we've seen about a 10% gain. So it looks very similar to the cryptocurrencies, as it's been even keel this year where it's had major gains in previous years. Okay, moving right along here. Let's go ahead and talk about Amazon. So Amazon, we did see a nice gain today on Amazon, and our last entry was on the 4th of December. So we had entries the 4th of December, 26th of November, 25th of November, 20th of November, 18th of November, 12th of November, 10th of November, and the 4th of November. So for the last month, we've been entering in pretty cautiously, I would say. You know, multiple entries, but we're just kind of waiting to see what's going to happen here. And on Amazon, you know, I drew these potential breakout and retest zones. So we could definitely measure our targets here if we wanted to. Let's go ahead and measure our first target, first target's going to be measured off of the size of this initial structure. So from there to there, and we'll put it at our breakout zone. And then our stop would be our most recent swing low. So we can kind of measure that as our first target. Let's go ahead and measure our second target, which is the size of the structure at breakout, right? So if we break out around this zone, that's going to be our second target. Oops, let's see. We get that right. There we go. Okay. So target number 2. And then let's go ahead and measure target number 3. Target number 3, well, in this case, is going to be a little bit difficult. We might not even have 3 targets at the moment because we have we've surpassed all-time high with our second target, right? So third target, typically we would measure, where a previous high is, but we don't have that. So, we might even just do 2 targets on this one, or we might measure the second target a little bit more, like this recent high right here. So we'll actually do that on this one. We'll measure this one as the most recent high, and then this one as all-time high. So, yep, that's going to be our targets there. And then how far out do we want to put this is the next question. So, let's see. How long did it take for this structure to form? So, from Halloween, October 31st, until today. So, that's, 2 months. So, let's go ahead and put it out at least 2 months. So, from where we are today, January 21st, we'll just go ahead and put it at, let's say February 25th. Okay, there we go. So, yeah, we'll look for, a potential breakout here. We're going to do it live on the channel. So, as soon as we have a breakout and a retest, we'll say, hey, we're thinking about going in on this particular move. Again, past performance, not indicative of future results. You're fully responsible to take your own trades if you want to on this, but we're going to be streaming it every single day. So as this progresses, we're going to keep an eye on it. This algorithm has done pretty well. It's, all of them in this instance are going to be accumulation long, right? They're going to be accumulating long and then having fewer sell signals typically. So we'll just go ahead and leave that there for now. Very good. Let's look at Apple here. Okay. So, what are we looking at on Apple? We're looking at the 8-hour chart. Apple just hit a new all-time high, right? So we've been in this ascending channel. So at some point we expect it to break out to the downside of this ascending channel. Ascending patterns are bearish patterns. Descending patterns are bullish patterns. And we're looking for this channel to break out to the downside at some point, but we have no reason to believe that it's going to do that, until we see some definitive action leading towards that. We are below the heart line, right? So when this comes back down here, we're still going to be in the bullish control zone. So you can see this green cloud is going to be our bullish control zone. Our moving averages are pointing to the upside currently. So really, we're just kind of chilling in this channel until we see something, until something changes our mind. But this algorithm has done really, really well helping us manage risk, with 84% profitable trades. We've been using this thing for a long time to participate. Another good thing to use these type of algorithms for is just where you might accumulate, right? You might consider accumulating every time it sends a buy signal, or you can change it up and manage your risk in a whole bunch of different ways, right? From exit strategy to take profit strategy, trailing stop loss strategy, stop loss strategy. All of this is in the algorithm pre-built, right? All you got to do is define the parameters that you are comfortable with and how you want to manage your risk. Again, if anybody wants me to put one of these on a specific asset and we can talk about the configuration and why and how to use it, I'm happy to do that as well. Just go ahead and request in our Discord which algorithm or algorithms or all of them that you would like access to while we're getting this channel off the ground. All of them are going to be completely free to use. So happy to have you and happy to discuss automation and risk management in our Discord channel. Let's go ahead and move on to Microsoft. I wanted to move on to Microsoft because we actually did see an entry on Microsoft today. We saw an entry on Microsoft today, we saw an entry on Microsoft yesterday, and we saw an entry on Microsoft on Tuesday. And then before that, Thursday the 4th, Wednesday the 3rd. We've been in this downward swing, so we've just been accumulating shares on the way down. But if you look at the performance of this algorithm, it's done really, really well. 86% profitable trades. And if we just kind of look back in time, you can see there's periods where we go through accumulation and then exits, right? Accumulation, exit, accumulation, exit. So that's kind of the name of the game on these spot stock algos that buy shares, right? Is you can just go buy shares and hold, absolutely. Or if you're more interested in trading in and out of these assets, then you can, do this type of methodology or any other type of methodology that you want using our, proprietary Killer Whale algorithms where, you can program your, bullish control zone, bearish control zone, trailing stop loss metrics. There's all kinds of really cool stuff that you can do with that. So let's look at the performance on Microsoft. Year to date, 12.6% increase. 12.46% increase. Let's look at that over the last few years here. So 2020 saw a 40% increase. 2021 saw a 57% increase. 2022 saw a minus 28% deficit. 2023 a 56% increase. 2024 saw a 13% increase. And then this year we've seen a 14% increase. So low and slow, but Microsoft overall, definite winner, as we all know. And yeah, if anybody's interested, again, just go to our Discord channel, send a message in our support for whatever TradingView algorithms that you would like access to. And we're happy to chat about it, happy to talk about it, and happy to get everyone involved because we want to build the largest algorithmic trading community on the internet. So that starts now, and we'd be happy to have you. Okay. Microsoft. Let's go to NVIDIA next. So NVIDIA just recently saw new all-time highs again. Let's go ahead and drop this. Let's look at it in technical terms without the algorithm, just by analysis. So the last major move we participated in was, you guessed it, descending broadening formation. We had a descending broadening formation breakout on the 7th of May. And since then, we have hit all three of our targets, far exceeding our targets. We pretty much just went straight to the third target. We actually hit our third target, entered on May 13th. Let's see. Yeah, May entered around May 13th. And then hit our third target on July 29th, 30th area. So this was the last major move we participated in on NVIDIA as far as technical analysis goes. Right now, we're kind of looking at this, descending channel. A lot of assets are forming these descending channels as we go through this consolidative period. And so we might be looking to play a breakout of the descending channel potentially. Descending channels aren't as prominent for me to play unless they're really heavily downsloping, which this one seems to be very heavily downsloping. So if we do see a little bit more downside action, that might lead me to have a bit more conviction that we're in a lower risk area to enter a trade. All of them, again, in this scenario, right, what we're looking at on the channel here is, your accumulation style of algorithm where you're continuously buying into shares and then selling depending on, what the metrics are that we determine, right? So in this instance, our selling is using our exit strategy. So we're using a 5-minute RSI, a 5-minute 20 RSI, where a sell signal will come on the upside if it exceeds 80, right? So, we could just kind of look at that here and just say, let's see if this is on the right one. Let's go ahead and go 5 minutes. And then RSI length 20. Okay, very good. So you can see if I move this up, we'll just expand this a little bit and drop this guy down. You can see anytime that it's going over that 80 mark, we're going to be getting some sell signals, right? So getting sell signals in this area, so on and so forth. It also uses take profit, as I believe. Yep, so this one's an ATR 30 as our take profit. So you're going to either be getting sell signals when the RSI is above 80 on the 5-minute, or if the ATR is above 30. So yeah, all very good stuff, and happy to show you what this is all about. We also have our high frequency NVIDIA, which is a little bit spicy. It is somewhat easy to participate in though, because it does have a bit lower frequency. We have our lower frequency NVIDIA algorithm, and the one we were just looking at is our higher frequency NVIDIA algorithm. So both of them are equally awesome in their own respects, right? The lower frequency is going to accumulate a lot more during periods of sideways price action. So you can see a lot of accumulation occurred before we got that sell signal, right? And then if we just kind of look back in time, accumulation, selling, accumulation, selling, accumulation, selling. This can be used for a number of things, right? It could be used for just entries on NVIDIA, right? You completely ignore the sell signals, turn selling off entirely, right? So it can be used for accumulation, or it could be used for, things like potentially playing options or, all kinds of different stuff, right? There's no one-size-fits-all solution. You can use these algorithms for a lot of different things, and it just helps you to automate the process, automate your risk management using mathematics instead of emotional decision making, right? Okay. And then, one of my other favorite algos is Walmart, right? Walmart's easy to participate in because the shares are $100 a piece. So you can continue to accumulate, through these swings on Walmart that you wouldn't, you can either use it again to just accumulate. You can back off how many times it buys. As you can see, like each one of these blue vertical lines is a session break. So yesterday it accumulated 2 times. The day before that it accumulated once. Day before that accumulated once. So here you're, kind of accumulating shares throughout the day-to-day, and how as the price action flows, right, you're kind of participating in a way that is risk managed, and you can see here, this algorithm's done extremely well, 86% profitable. So we do have a whole bunch more assets. Looking for asset requests, right? So anyone who wants to look at some different assets or would like to request an indicator or strategy, or have, well, me optimize one of our strategies on a specific indicator, I'm sorry, on a specific asset, would be happy to do that either live on the stream, or do it on the outside and then talk about it live on the stream. So yeah, we're just kind of waiting here. Let's go ahead and look at this NQ algorithm that I've been using for, actually, before we get to that, 1 second here. Yep, so we're just kind of going through and talking about all these different Mag 7 top cryptocurrencies that we've been looking at our long-term algorithms on, and talked about some news. Kathy Wood's thinking this could be the bottom area for Bitcoin. And yep, let's go ahead and pull this up. So you can see here, I've got a few different algorithms that I've been working on. This is a different provider. This is actually Algo Pro. So they got some really good algorithms out there, pretty cheap. So go check them out if you have time. But this particular algorithm is their Evo X they just released. So really interested in that. And I've been using it for some futures trading. So these are completely automated signals. If we look at the strategy tester here, this is a configuration that I went through and just programmed all the settings myself. This particular algorithm can trade up to 3 times per day. I did edit it a little bit last night because yesterday we had 3 trades. So this one is a martingale type of strategy where if it loses, it'll double the amount of contracts on the next trade. If it loses, it'll double the amount of contracts on the next trade. And it can do that up to about 8 contracts, I think is what I set it last night. So I had it set at 4, but for some reason, when I had it set to 4, it only launched 2 on the last trade yesterday. So I actually had to manually intervene. So I edited it a bit overnight just to... didn't change the logic of it at all. It still will only trade up to 3 times in a day. But, I edited the martingale, the ability for it to martingale and how many contracts it can martingale up to. So if I look in the martingale setting here, yeah, it'll multiply by 2 with a max contracts of 8, right? I had that set to 4 yesterday, and we got a little... caught up because for whatever reason it only sent a signal for 2 instead of 4. So not perfect, but we're just gonna keep at it until we get a solid configuration. This one I started a 150K account at the beginning of this week, so this week it's up about 641 it looks like. Yeah, Sunday we had a successful trade. Monday we had a successful trade, and yesterday was very, very close to even. Yeah, about a $39 or a $30 gain. I think it was like 35 in my account. So yeah, a little bit more out of it. Also, what I'm doing here is I'm adding a trailing stop loss of 0.01%. So it gives it the opportunity to continue to move in the direction of the trade. But it's not like giving it, if it does lose, it's not like losing too much, right? We're just giving it a little bit of opportunity, something like a trade like this, right? Where we are in an upward swing. We would just want to give it a little bit of opportunity to maybe swing with it, right? So I think this day we caught a little bit more out of it. Yesterday on the 3rd trade, we caught a little bit more out of it. Again, I edited it, so we're only seeing 2 here, but it did actually take 3 trades yesterday. I have a bunch of variations of this exact strategy as well. So, we can see if we look at the strategy tester all along the same lines. It'll take up to 3 trades a day. It's a martingale style strategy. So yeah, I made a bunch of different versions of this strategy over the last little bit here. Okay, let's see. Okay, so this version of the algorithm just went short. So you can see we're actually short right here. I'm not using this version of the algorithm at the moment because it's kind of still in the works. Kind of working out some of the kinks on it. So yeah. Oh, another cool part about this script is it gives you, this one's really designed for day trading. So it gives you the ability to like set a daily profit target or a daily loss limit, things like that. So if it exceeds your profit target or your loss limit, you know, it'll just stop trading for the day. Like this day had a minus $1,100 trade. So we didn't participate in this day. Whereas Monday, the very next day, had a $3,800 gain. So you can see it had lost on Sunday, but then martingaled on Monday and brought itself right back out. We didn't participate in that because I just started this account, you know, this week, just while we were starting the stream, just to kind of, you know, have a live trade going on the stream, right? But yeah, we're just going to wait around here a little bit longer and see if we can't get that trade to happen while we're live on the stream here. We could talk about a few of the other algos that we're working on at the moment. So this one is not in our this one's not in our description down below yet, but it will be in the next couple of weeks here. This one's designed to work on either Renko candles or regular candles or Heikin-Ashi candles. And this one is, you know, basically how it participates is it will, if there's a green volume brick, it's going to participate to the upside and it'll hold that trade until there's a red volume brick. So this one's been doing pretty good in a few user accounts where, you know, we either have a target set, so like $100 a day target or a $200 a day target or a $300 a day target. This has been working really well for that. We've been hitting our target, you know, just about every day, I want to say, for the last few weeks because we've only, you know, been trying to squeeze $100 out of a trade like this. So I think today overall had like a $500 day. So you can see what went into that. We had a long, a short, a long, a short, a long, so on and so forth. So we had a lot of trades throughout the day, but we ended up catching about $500 through all of these trades going on. Days like this is like the ideal kind of scenario where we have a long trade and then it flips short and we had a little success there. And then we have a nice successful trade and then, you know, flips long and then immediately flips short. So that was a loss, but then into another successful trade, into another successful trade. This day was like a plus $700 or $800 day, right? So, you know, we're just interpreting the price action a bit differently with the Renko candles. You can't really rely on these stats here because they're not regular candles. But let me just show you something that I am working on gold, for example. So on gold, one of the things we're working on using the same strategy, so our basic Renko reversal, except for using regular candles on the 59-minute chart. So this particular algorithm, I've allowed to have opposite entries. So again, with the way that it works is if there was a green box on Renko candles, it's going to send a long signal. If there's a red box on Renko candles, it's going to send a short signal. Well, this does the exact same thing, except for we're on regular candles. So, you know, we're looking at the 59-minute chart. So every 59 minutes, it prints one of these candles, and depending on which direction the candle was, either green or red, it's going to send a signal in that direction. So, you know, it's going to send a signal for long on green candles and a signal for short on red candles. Or we have this opposite entry button where it can flip the entry. So on red candles, it sends a long, and on green candles, it sends a short. Just a different way to think about interpreting the price action. And then you have your trailing stop loss points, your trailing stop loss offset, and your stop loss features. This one also has a trade session feature. So you can choose which sessions to trade in, you know, whether that's Asia session, London session, New York session. And yeah, it's a really cool way to interpret the price action. Again, If you're really interested in this one, the basic Renko reversal, there's a few different versions of this strategy, so I'm going to add those to our trading view in like the next couple of weeks here, and users will have access to this too while we're getting our channel off the ground here. Let's go ahead and go back over to NQ and just see what's going on here. A little bit more about this strategy and why I programmed it this way is this strategy is on the 9-minute chart. So each candle is 9 minutes. And this is going to participate at the beginning of the day for the most part. And when I say the beginning of the day, I mean the beginning of the new trading day. So technically, even though it's Wednesday right now, the new trading day is Thursday, right? So we're already participating in Thursday's price action. I like to participate at the beginning of the new trading day. It's a lot less volatile typically, although I am planning on making versions of this exact thing for, more into like Asia session, London session, and New York session. So yeah, very cool stuff. Actually, while we're waiting for a trade to go through here, while we're waiting for our live trade, I could actually change up one of these that I was looking at. Which one was it? I think I was going to change up this one because the equity drawdown is too much for a prop account. So what I was going to do is I was going to change the trading session on this algorithm. Let's see, did we get one? Oh, okay. Another one that I've been playing around with is this new strategy from one of the paid indicators on TradingView. They just started doing these paid indicators in the store down here. So, they're doing their initial launch, but I went through and I programmed a few of them that I have running to a couple of different prop accounts. And this one, for example, just sent a long signal. This is a long only algorithm on regular candles. So, it's been doing okay. I think I'm going to have this one mainly running only during New York session because the volatility is really, really low during overnight. So, yeah, this one it's been doing okay, but it's definitely not made any like significant gains so far. So, definitely still in development with this one on NQ and ES, and we're working on it for the Russell 2000. So yeah, just trying to work out a few different configuration types that we can use on prop accounts. So again, that's what this stream and what this community is all about, is automation. So we're trying to automate these day trading algorithms, which has proven to be a little bit more difficult, I would say, than the longer term accumulation algorithms for like gold, for example. You know what I mean? The longer term accumulation algorithm for gold, you just keep buying gold and it keeps going up, right? It's a lot harder to interpret the price action of, different assets on an intraday basis. So especially like, a fully automated system that passes prop firm exams and, I would be comfortable putting into live prop firm accounts. That's what we're trying to do here in this community as well, is let's look at all of the indicators that we can possibly find together as a community. Let's look at all the different risk management type of settings. Let's look at all the different indicators that we can automate, and let's come together as a group of automation enthusiasts and find all of the best ways that we can automate our day trading, our swing trading, our position building, our dollar cost averaging. Let's figure out how to use automation for options, for futures, for stocks, for crypto, all of that kind of stuff, right? That's going to be the goal of this channel overall, is to come together as a community, and we will all find the best automation out there, right? We have our own proprietary algorithms, but, that's not to say that there isn't a lot of other cool stuff out there, right? Here's another one that I'm working on where was it? Heikin-Ashi candles, right? So I think there could be something here with the Heikin-Ashi candles, even though Heikin-Ashi candles do not produce accurate results in backtesting. There are ways to, find success with it, right? So Again, maybe using it for only New York session, that might be something. There's all kinds of ways to go about it, but it just depends on maybe the chart time frame we're looking at as well. So working on it on all kinds of different fronts, right? Okay. Just waiting here. Yesterday, this was about the time that our trade went through. So 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Trade signal? Nope, no signal yet. Let's see. We did get a few more alerts going through here. Yeah, nothing too crazy. Nothing too crazy at the moment. Okay. Let's see. What else could we talk about here? Oh, we could talk about how to use these. So this is the same algorithm, one of our UTBot algorithms. So this is UTBot 2.4.2. Again, available in the description below, completely free. But this is another type of algorithm that we're working on for day trading, right? Renko candles do not really produce the most accurate result. So, as much as I would love to risk 2,700 to gain 100,000, a little bit more nuanced than that in the prop space if you're going to use a prop account. And then also, like, if you were going to use a cash account, just caution because, this is not quite an accurate result. But, I have passed a number of prop tests with this exact algorithm, but I've also failed a number of tests with this exact algorithm. So, yeah. The one that we're most focused on here at the moment that we just started this week is going to be this NQ martingale that I've been working on for some time now. And it's going to have its advantages because it only trades a couple of times a day. It has the ability to smack it out of the park if necessary, if it can. It also it will lose gracefully, right? So instead of just completely blowing the account, we have on the account a risk of our daily loss limit at 1,500. We also have our daily loss limit in the algorithm set at 500. So if it has more than a $500 loss, it'll just stop trading. It only trades maximum of 3 times a day, so very well managed risk to try and pass these accounts at some point, right? I've got a 150K account that we're going to be looking at in this channel and just kind of following along and seeing how long it might take to pass or fail this test. And then if we can, use Tradeify as our prop firm to get funded accounts and multiply the number of accounts that we have and really nail down some seriously solid methodologies, right? So all good stuff there. Let's go ahead and look at gold. Yep, so this is one of the ones that we're working on gold here. So this is on regular candles. It should be pretty accurate, but been having a bit of a hard time with some slippage things and, just determining if we had a trailing stop loss of like 0.01% or a trailing stop loss of $1, things like that. We're doing in our demo paper account before we ever launch this in a live environment. So right now the contract is switching, so my demo account's not letting the trades go through, but whenever the contract switches, we'll be able to see what's going on in the demo account as well. So let's go ahead and look at the demo account. Let me see if there's anything worthwhile in here. Oh, okay, very cool. So I do have an ES configuration from this algorithm working right now. So this is using a line break, which I've never really had much luck with. Never had much luck with so far. But, I'm trying to use these different types of, different candle types and bar styles and, Heikinashi, Renko, so on and so forth. I've found some luck with these range candles, right? So just trying to use all the different candles and all the different tools that we have available in TradingView to automate these processes for us, right? And I'm using, my indicators, my strategies. I'm using other top providers, right? We're trying to build the toolbox for our community to be able to, really come and attack the market with precision and adaptability, right? So yeah, we had a $900 gain on this. I'm not really seeing it on the chart here, so maybe it's saying open P&L, so maybe it never actually exited this previous trade here. Okay, interesting. Further testing and development required on that. Okay, let's go back over here. We got 3 minutes before this candle closes, so okay, another thing with this one is it has to be either above or below the green line, right? That's our moving average filter that we have going on. So I don't think we're going to get a trade if we're, the green line is above the white line, but we are in between those two. So it could be some time before we get a trade, but let's at least give it like 1 or 2 more candles here. So like 10, maybe another 20 minutes. If we don't get a trade within that period of time, I'll just go ahead and maybe post in Discord when that trade comes through. But I'd like to do it live on the stream here just to show you that, this is how we automate our processes and, what it's capable of, right? I'm really trying to get it so that our community has a seriously awesome toolbox to, take this to any asset, any tradable asset on TradingView. Okay, let me actually go down here because I wanted to look at, while we're waiting, let's just go ahead and, maybe go through a process of how I edit one of these things, right? So it's a lot of trial and error, but yeah, we'll just go ahead. Actually, let me get rid of that, pull it up right here. Okay, so one thing I wanted to try on this particular algorithm was having it trade a different window. So let's go ahead and look at the trading session manager. And let's go ahead and enable session. So now it's updating, so it won't even start trading until 11:45 p.m. Okay, that's very interesting. Yeah, you can see here that actually flattened our curve pretty significantly. So this is interesting because this wouldn't trade until at least 11:45 p.m., right? So that's one thing I'm trying to figure out here is what's the best time for it to send a trade through, right? Let's go look at list of trades. Yeah, okay, let's look at the strategy report here. Gross profit, gross loss, net profit. I like to look at highest winning trade, highest losing trade, or the largest winning trade, largest losing trade. Largest winning trade, 10,000. Largest losing trade, 2,000. So yeah, this is a martingale type of strategy, right? Again, so it only trade once if it's successful. It can trade up to 3 times in a day. Some days it won't even trade at all. As you can see right here, this day it didn't trade at all. Actually, a lot of days here it didn't trade at all. So that might not fit for what we're going for because I do want it to trade, every day, just about. Yep, so we'll just go back to scroll back up to the top here. And I do want it to trade every day, so this isn't quite what I'm looking for. But what I am looking for is maybe saying like, you know, sometime around when London session starts, right? At like 2 or 3 in the morning Eastern time is usually when things start to pick up a bit. So we could say, you know, only trade from, you know, 0200, 2 o'clock in the morning to 6 o'clock in the morning, right? Let's see if during this 4-hour time span what we get out of this algorithm. Okay, so, you know, didn't get a really great result out of that, so we'll just go ahead and switch up the session a little bit. Let's say from midnight.
Order filled.
Did we launch a signal here? Let's see. Nope, not quite. Okay. Actually, we should see it pop up on this chart when it does happen, since we're looking at the same asset. Okay, that's very, very interesting. So here, about the same thing we were looking at, but we're giving it the ability to trade from... Where are we at here? Okay, yeah. We're giving it the ability to trade from midnight to 6 a.m. So you can see now it is trading every day, right? Now we are getting trades happening every day. Did have a little bit more red days, right? It's producing some red days, but overall, you know, decent profit curve on there. So let's go ahead and just keep on editing this thing. DC martingale session. Okay, let's give it the ability to trade from midnight to 9 a.m. Next thing I'm going to try is from, you know, New York session. So I'll either do 9 or 9:30 as the enable session start, and look to going to, you know, noon or into the afternoon. So we'll see what that looks like. Okay, so that's giving it the ability to trade from midnight until 9 a.m. Interesting. That's not a bad result. Not a bad result at all. So let's go ahead and try, like, you know, giving it the ability to trade from 3 a.m. to 9 a.m. See what we get. Getting a lot of signals coming through here. So some of our main algos are launching signals as we speak. So this algorithm has a target for, you know, anywhere from $100 to $500 a day, right? So $100 a day is very, no, I wouldn't say easy, but it's a lot more consistent. You can multiply the number of prop accounts that you have, each one going for $100 target a day. You know, you do that on 10 different accounts, you're making $1,000 a day potentially, right? So these signals are available through our KWIP. We can automate these signals to your Traders Post accounts. So yeah, just let us know if that's something you're interested in. We already have a whole lot of users already using these particular algorithms, which you can see are low risk, medium risk, high risk, and our second medium risk configuration. So low risk, medium risks over here, and then our high risk. Actually, we did just edit this one to be more of like a $500 a day target. So it goes long or short with 30 contracts at a time. So that can get kind of wild, right? So actually this is no longer medium. This is like our highest risk. So low risk, medium risk, high risk. And then this one's for, you know, trying to do, you know, anywhere from 100 to 500, but you're using a lot of contracts on your entry. So yeah, those just went into short positions. And then as you can see, the logic here behind this is after it enters a long position on a Renko candle, every new box that's printed, just about every box that's printed is going to be an exit signal, right? So, you know, this strategy pretty pretty consistent, but it's on Renko candles again. So we've had some mixed results when using it just continuing to let it run, right? Because some days we'll have really, really choppy price action, and, you know, a trade like this that looks like it was successful because we entered at the top of a box and are exiting at the bottom of a box, right? This would be an unsuccessful trade, right? This one would have had 2 targets hit and then break even, you know? So because of Renko, it's a little bit, it's not as consistent as it looks in the strategy tester. So you can see here it says it's 93% profitable. That's not exactly correct, right? So we kind of, on the Renko candles, we don't really trust the strategy tester results. But on regular candles, we can, you know, for the most part, we can trust the strategy results because we know that the, we know that the strategy is pretty much accurate. It won't be completely accurate because of, real world market scenarios where, you might not get in at the exact fill that it says on the chart, but it's close enough to, give us a accurate result for the most part, right? Most of the time, it's going to be an accurate result when using regular candles. It's just every once in a while when there's crazy stuff going on, if there's a lot of volatility or there's a little volatility, a lot of volatility can make your order fill somewhere else. A little volatility or low liquidity can make it fill somewhere else. So, because we use market orders for the most part to enter and exit when we're doing algorithmic trading, at least in this instance, like automation to a prop account. Yeah, you get, it's just a mixed bag. But for the most part, when you're using regular candles, it's going to be pretty accurate. And like I said yesterday, it said we made a $30 gain, but I think it was actually like 35 or 37 overall. So we actually did better because we used trailing stop loss and additional factors to interpret the signal. Okay. Well, I don't think we're going to get a signal really very soon here because let's go ahead and give it another minute just because this green line is above the white line still. So because I have our moving average filter on in the strategy, it's probably going to wait until this green line crosses the white line here in order to send a sell signal, which it looks like we're downtrending at the moment. So unless we get the price action to pop back above up here, and then it'll be able to send a buy signal, or we have the green line cross the white line to the downside, which we don't really know how long that could take. So there might be some time before we get a signal here, but let's go ahead and wait. We got 18 seconds left on this candle. 10, 9, 8. Okay, so we might be getting a signal, but I doubt it just because the session filter is, it's being filtered. Oh, here we go. Nice. Very, very good. So let's go ahead and look at this. And let me just pull it up on my side here and make sure the trade actually went through. Okay, so do we have... I'm just trying to log into my other account here. Not sure, it's not saying that it launched the signal, so let's see. Log. Okay, why is... So it's saying Martingale didn't launch since yesterday. So it should have launched a signal just then. Yeah, that's the trade that we're on. Well, we should have entered a sell signal here. So again, this is a different provider's algorithm. So just kind of testing out somebody else's algorithm in this paper account that I have, or I'm sorry, in this Yep, so it didn't launch a signal yet, which is interesting because I do have the alert saved to the algorithm that we're on. So it should have launched a sell signal. Should have launched a short signal just now. Ever developing algorithms, that's for sure. Let me log into the account here just to double check, see what's going on. Very interesting. I haven't seen this one not launch a signal. Usually it always launches the signal. But yesterday I did edit it a little bit. Yeah, I'm in the account. So it should have launched a signal right here, but saying the last signal that we got was yesterday. So, I would hate to miss today's trade. So let's just go ahead and we can participate in today's trade manually. So in queue, I'm going to go ahead and sell one contract. So we did participate in the trade, but we got into it a little bit late here. So let's see what happens. This trade is going to go approximately, 9 minutes or so. So we got in a little late, about 3 minutes late. So we're going to have another 5 minutes for this signal. And yeah, since I am participating manually, it got in a little lower than the actual entry for it. But so if we can get a successful one here, we're just going to bag it, and then I'll go back and see if I can edit this signal again to kind of see why it didn't launch the signal automatically. But yep, we're just going to participate in this trade here together. So you can see got $150,000 account on Tradeify, and this is like the third or fourth day that it's been running. So we've had $600 of success so far, but let's see if we can't get this to launch signals automatically for us. Again, not sure why it didn't launch today. I did edit some things last night, but it should have launched a signal with the strategy that we're using. So yeah, I'm looking, everything looks good here. Message, where it's going. Interesting. But yeah, we're just gonna stay in this for another 4 minutes and 30 seconds ish. Sometimes it goes a little longer than that, but yep, we're just gonna kind of wait here and participate in this trade and see what becomes of it, even though it didn't launch automatically. So that's what, I'm not an adrenaline junkie like a lot of these day traders. I prefer to set a rules-based system and let things happen automatically while I'm actively monitoring, right? That gives me a lot more stability. It gives me a lot more conviction in the trades that I'm taking because it's rules-based, and many, many other things, right? It just takes a lot of the emotion out of the equation. We know why we're participating. We have a very we have a very specific set of parameters, which I could show you. In this case, our parameters. So in order to enter a signal on this particular algorithm, what we're hoping for is we're using a stochastic, and we're using a stochastic overbought of 44 and a stochastic oversold of 62. So you can see that might look a little bit backwards, but that's just the best configuration that we found so far. So we're also using a linear regression with a linear regression length of 250. So it has to have, if I'm not mistaken, it has to have at least one of those things happening in order to launch a signal. So it either has to have a stochastic overbought or oversold of 44 or 62, or a linear regression of 250 on the length. So those are mathematical based factors that can help us determine where we want to enter and exit. A little bit disappointed that it didn't enter where it said it was going to, because we would have already seen a nice gain here. Like if we had a $100 target, we would have seen that we could have hit that $100 target if it had entered automatically. Because I had to wait 3 minutes trying to figure out why it didn't launch the signal, which I'm really not sure why it didn't launch the signal still, which I'll have to go through and maybe edit a couple of things in here afterwards. But yep, we're just going to let this trade play out here and take it for what it is. But we got about 2 minutes left before it either sends another signal or not. So hopefully it sends an automated signal to exit, but if need be, I'll just go ahead and exit manually. Again, this is just one contract, so it can martingale up to 8 contracts. So if it does that, it gets where it can swing a lot more, right? And 9 minutes is a very long time to be in a trade, so anything can happen in 9 minutes. That's why I like to participate at the very beginning of the new trading day, where it's a little bit less volatile, because 9 minutes in New York session could be thousands of dollars on a single contract. A candle like this, if you went short on this candle, you could have lost $9,000, $10,000, $5,000, something like that, right? But in the evening time, it's not nearly as volatile. It's just a lot easier to just squeeze a few $100 out of it each time, or you can smack one out of the park like it did this on this Monday trade and made a $3,800 gain on a single trade. So that was definitely a martingale trade. We could actually look at that. Let's see. Friday, Thursday, Wednesday, Monday. Oh yeah, so you can see I was plus 8 contracts and it just smacked this little move right here. So yeah, that would have been really nice. $3,000 gain right there. But we got about 9 seconds left on this, so let's see. It should print a little sell signal. Okay. Yep, so it printed a sell signal. So I'm just going to go ahead and exit manually. Just go ahead and close that position there. So unsuccessful for the day, minus 200. It's going to say that it was successful, and we're not going to take another trade today because I need to figure out why it didn't actually launch a signal there. So yeah, if I go to the list of trades, yeah, it says it was about a $100 gain. I would have liked to squeeze $100 out of it, and that would have been totally applicable and totally appropriate to get a $100 gain out of that and then just call it a day, right? But yeah, I'm going to have to go back to the drawing board and figure out why exactly it didn't launch the trade automatically on this one, and we'll see you tomorrow. So that's it for now. Thank you so much for participating and watching our stream. We're going to be back at it tomorrow, and again, we're going to end the streams on these trades whenever possible, right? So 1, thank you for your participation. 2, if you would like access to any of the TradingView indicators and algorithms that I talk about on this stream, all of them are completely free. All you have to do is request access with your TradingView username in our support channel. Please like and subscribe, give us some feedback in the comments, and we will